Welcome back, this is CerealSnax, and today I'm looking at a game called Torchlight 2. I have other videos, actually the first two videos on my channel were Torchlight 2 videos that I did with Almond Flower. We were looking at the beta. I wanted to show you the game as it is now, and maybe just give a quick rundown of what the game's all about, give my first impressions, and maybe play through just a little bit of it just to show you what it's all about. You've probably heard of it if you're even remotely interested in this type of game. You know, Diablo 3 was a very similar game to Torchlight 2, and in fact Torchlight 2 is composed of developers and creators from the original Diablo, so it actually in many ways has the flavor of the original Diablo more than I think Diablo 3 does. And you know, Diablo 3 was, I think it was critically acclaimed when it was released, but I think that a lot of people found it to be somewhat of a disappointment. So I'm pretty impressed with Torchlight 2. I always thought that it was going to be a strong contender for Diablo 3, plus the fact that it's much cheaper. It's actually only a third of the price. It's only $20, and it'll probably be on sale multiple times. Yeah, so I think it's very much worth picking up from what I've seen so far. So let me show you the classes real quick. There are Ember Mages, the Berserker, the Engineer, and the Outlander. Now, I already have an Outlander. I'm probably going to do something a little different, so I've played a little bit of all of these. I'm going to go with the Engineer just because he's more of the newer type. But I just like the Engineer, the look of him. He's more of a tank. And let's just fix the face here. Let's make him... Gotta have a monocle, right? Let's do a monocle. Change his hair up a bit. Maybe make him bald. And give him a nice dark black mustache. That's cool. Okay, so we'll name him Cereal. And let's start her... Oh, the other thing you can do is you can actually pick a pet. And that's a different thing. That's one thing that Torchlight 1 did have. So let's see if it lets me pick a pet. Yep. Okay, so you can pick different pets this time. Before it was only like a wolf and a cat type creature. Now it looks like you can pick all kinds of, a little papillon, a ferret, a cassowary, a cat, a panther, a bulldog, a hawk, and a wolf. And they have more room here. I'm guessing they'll probably add more at some point in time. So I think a bird would be kind of annoying. It's kind of flappy. A bulldog looks pretty cool, but I think I'm going to go with a papillon. Why not? And I'm going to name it Snacks. Okay, let's do it. Now in my other Let's Play I did casual mode, which I found was way too easy, so I'm going to actually go elite mode. Let's do the hardest we can possibly do. Now here's the other different thing about Torchlight 2 that Torchlight 1 didn't have. You can actually play online with the internet, which is very cool. You can actually do it on LAN, which I know Diablo 3 does not allow. This game is very moddable, very community focused, whereas I feel like Diablo 3, even though Blizzard has done a great job with it, has limits its users for its lifespan. I think that the lifespan of Torchlight 2 will actually be much longer than Diablo 3 just because the content can be increased by the players themselves. So let's start it up here. I'm going to actually skip through the cutscenes that they have, the little thing, and we'll just take a look at this. Now, like I said, it's very similar to Diablo kind of playstyle. You can see you run around in a top view, third person mode, and you've got your hotbars down here at the bottom. Now, of course, you can see my first skill is a flame hammer. Let's see if I can actually do it. There we go. Pretty cool. Let's get the first quest.
I think this is as far as I can go. You should carry on to the Asterion.
Okay, the Alchemist destroyed Torchlight. If you remember the Alchemist from the original Torchlight, crazy. He's now a bad guy. So let's see. We got this quest, warn the Asterians. And of course you can talk to all the people. That's another cool thing. The graphic style is very cartoony. Reminds me a lot of World of Warcraft, and of course that is probably due to the fact that a lot of the people that made this game are slightly associated with the Blizzard company, although I know the Diablo team was Blizzard North, whereas the Warcraft team was Blizzard South, or you know, the Blizzard in LA. But regardless, let's take out these ratlins. If you played the first game, you'll remember the ratlins. These little creatures. It's actually not too bad, even in elite. It seems like it's not too hard at first anyway. It probably gets a lot harder. I've already got some loot. I looted a sword. Let me show you. Let's get this chest first, and I'll show you some of the cool things about this game. One of the things is your inventory. Press by I, or it's on the right corner there. Of course, you can have inventory in every slot. Of course, I'm getting attacked, but I've got my trusty papillon. I looted a sword, which I cannot use yet, but as an engineer, he's more of a tank type character, so I'm not sure that I'll even go that route. So let's take a look. We've got of course the inventory, your like limited inventory space, which is part of, you know, kind of similar with these types of games. You got your, you know, armor and all that stuff. Your consumables inventory, which is kind of nice, a separate inventory for items that you use. spell inventory, which is a separate inventory for the spells, which is nice as well. A little bit different. A little bit quality of life improvements from the first game to some extent. Like the first game, you've actually got a pet inventory. You can see my little snacks here. And he can wear a tag, a collar, or this other thing. I don't know what that is. It looks like another tag slot. Oh, you got 2 tag slots in the belt thing. So, and of course he can do attacks. He's also got pet consumables, pet spells, and a list of shopping items, which he can actually go and buy for you at the store. You can actually also go back and sell items that you have. And of course, here's the character panel, which shows my strength, dexterity, focus, and vitality. All the stats that you've come to really remember from the older games and from the Diablo type games. And of course, here are my statistics about everything. What kind of traps I've sprung, health regeneration, difficulty, time played, everything you would ever possibly want to know. I love stats like that. It's nice to see. So let me run through here a little bit. You can see that, you know, if you want to attack, you just right click, it does your special attack, and then left click does your basic attack. You know, if I press 1, I can do a health potion, 2, I do a mana potion. Now, at this point in time, starting out in the game, I don't have any kind of health regeneration. So I have found that on elite mode, it can get a little bit dodgy because you actually need to use health potions because your health will not come back on its own. And I'm not sure if it comes back in cities or not, but when you're out in the field like this, yeah, look at all these ratlings. Ooh, this may be the end of me. And I just started recording. Yikes. Good thing I've got this area effect hammer. Actually not doing too bad here. The ratlings are a lot like the kobolds in Diablo in that, like, when you kill one of their friends, they all kind of just run away and regroup, which is actually kind of helpful when you're low level. Look, I've already leveled up. Not too bad so far. One thing about this game is that I know in Diablo 3 I felt like I was always kind of focused on the story. There was a lot more. Like, the story wasn't better necessarily, but that it made you think about the story more for some reason. And in this game, I tend to forget what the heck am I even doing, and that's fine. I actually like that. I like that I don't even have to think. I just run into a dungeon, I just kill tons of creatures, and I come out a happy person with a bunch of loot. Because that's really all I'm looking for. And the story's good, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I do forget when I read this quest text exactly why I was in the dungeon and what I'm supposed to be killing in the dungeon. Whereas Diablo, I think in a way they kind of shove the story down your throat, which is either a good or a bad thing depending on what you're looking for. I prefer to have the story kind of be almost in the background in Torchlight 2, because then if I really want to get into the lore and get into understanding what's going on in the game, I'll go seek out that stuff. I don't need it shoved down my throat, because some days I don't feel like necessarily being that engaged in the story. I just feel like mindlessly killing everything that I possibly can, and I don't really feel like dealing with reading and dealing with that sort of thing just because you're tired or whatever. So let me go into the main city here and I'll show you what the main city is all about, give you an idea. I really think this game is very worthwhile. I believe that I'll probably be putting more hours into it than I did in Diablo 3, even though the amount of hours I put in Diablo 3 was pretty significant. And part of the reason, I think, is because of the variety this game offers. For example, you have the 4 classes. Now, of course, Diablo has multiple classes as well, but the classes in this game seem more interested and more fun than the Diablo classes do to me. So I know that this review is turning into maybe a Diablo versus Torchlight review, I guess, or first impressions, but I think that that's a fair comparison simply because they are competing games. Although there's nothing stopping you from playing both games, but I think a lot of people have moved on from Diablo 3 already, so you probably aren't playing that game anymore if you're watching this review. Okay, I get an item reward here, so this is kind of where I can either get a collar for my pet, superior light gloves, or a light cowl. I'm going to go with the shoulder armor. That sounds pretty cool, just in terms of looks. Sometimes I just go with looks for my character and not necessarily... Look at that. It doesn't show up on my character, though, unfortunately. Okay, let's go into the next area here. I think this goes to the Enclave. Yeah. The Enclave is the main city in Torchlight, at least the starting main city. And it's got some neat things. It's got vendors, for example. There are, of course, the skill respec trainer. You've got your stash that you put you can put stuff into if you want to use it later. Like I put my axe in there, for example. And you've got a shared stash, which you can put items in for your other characters, much like Diablo 3, very similar. Now, the other thing that's here is actually a fishing hole, and you can actually fish in this game, which is pretty cool. Now, fishing gives you potions and weapons and all kinds of random stuff. And I really like fishing. Ooh, I caught a tunnel shark. Well, I don't know what a tunnel shark was doing in the city fishing hole, but there are areas where you get special rare loot from fishing, and you can only fish in the fishing holes, you know, a limited number of times. So you may get like 3 shots to fish there, and you may get random loot out of it. So it's worthwhile to do, and it's kind of a nice distraction from doing the game. Oh, I got another tunnel shark. So this area is very reminiscent of like World of Warcraft, the city in the Burning Crusade, the Outlands area, that main city. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up. I just wanted to give you guys a real quick look. I may come back and show you some more footage of my adventures in Torchlight 2. Actually, before I go, I'm actually going to show you the character panel. You can see that I've got 5 stat points that I can then allocate to any skills that I want. Now the cool thing about this is there are some weapons, and let's look at my weapons real quick. Like this sword, for example, if you look at the right stats, it says requires level 2 or strength 19. One really amazing thing that I found is that you can loot these weapons that are like made basically for a level 20 character. But if you have a stat that matches it, like a strength 19 or whatever the strength may be, you can actually equip that weapon levels and levels before. So say you're level 10 and you loot a level 20 sword that requires a strength of 19, for just as an example. As long as you get your strength up to 19, like over here when I add my strength each level, you can wield that weapon. So you're basically wielding a level 20 weapon at level 10, and that can be really incredible. The other thing, and I put it in my stash so it's hard to show it here, but I've got this axe called a felling axe. There's 2 little empty sockets on it. You can actually loot gems that you can then put into those items, which will give you special effects. So some of them are fire, some of them are electricity damage, some of them are magic find percentage. You can find more magic items, and those are all very helpful, cool upgrades that you can have and just add to the game. And really, I think what it comes down to summarize my entire feelings on this game, it's just fun and interesting, and I like that it kind of doesn't take itself seriously, and that alone makes me come back for more. So if you enjoy that type of game and that type of playing, then I think you'll find that Torchlight 2 is probably right up your alley. So if you haven't picked it up yet, pick it up, play with some friends online, and enjoy yourself. So hope to see you again on my channel soon. Thanks for joining me.